What's up? It's officially spooky month, and I think a good way to start this, spooky festive season is by talking about some horror movies. One that I've been actually really excited to talk about, I've been planning on doing a video on it for quite a while, even before planning for this month, is the Creep movies and the Creep TV show, Creep Tapes, because I'm a pretty big fan of this franchise. Especially if you've seen my TikTok, I'm a pretty big creep glazer, I guess. By the way, that's the TikTok, so if you want to add it, go ahead. I mainly just do Whis edits on that, Who Are Stronger edits, basically. So that was just a God. That was just a quick plug. Now let's actually get into the meat of the video. Alright, so beginning with the first film, I think it's really good. Again, I'm not usually a big fan. Well, I'm very hit or miss with the whole concept of found footage because, one, it can be executed pretty damn well if it's handed to the right people, or it could be really shit. And most of the time, it is just really shit. And that's just mainly because, most of the time when people do found footage horror movies, it's because it's a lot easier. It's a much easier way to make money, basically. It's normally just cash grab stuff. So, for a good found footage movie to be, actually successful in what it does, it has to feel kind of authentic, especially with the creative liberties behind it. And I think everything regarding the Creep franchise, I think it succeeds at. I should start getting into the specifics with the first film because, well, I think there's a lot of good things to note about the first film. So first off, again, here's a big plus with all the Creep movies is Mark Duplass, whatever his name. I probably pronounced his name really badly, and if I did, apologies. He plays Joseph, or Aaron, or any other name he's given. I think canonically his name's Joseph since his sister recognized him as Joseph, so his name's Joseph, alright? I think the overall portrayal of his character is really, really interesting to me. I think it succeeds. To me, it succeeds at being creepy just because how, unsettling and, just like the movie says, how much of a creep this character is. I think it's just really interesting how he portrays the character. I'm a big fan of the pathological liar aspect of his character, because he clearly lies to his victims. In this film, he lied about having cancer. Oh, I should probably spoilers. Obviously, I'm gonna get into spoilers. I'm not gonna make this a spoiler-free video because I think that's kind of dumb. I think the pathological liar characteristic about Joseph is just the most interesting to me because it's portrayed as really authentic, I'd say. And it clearly shows that he's extremely charismatic, and I think that's what kind of lures his victims in and thinking he's not actually dangerous, I guess. And I think that's just really interesting. I think Mark Duplass kind of just combines both of those really effectively, I would say. I really just enjoyed the portrayal of Joseph in all of these movies. Obviously, the first one's basically about him pretending to have cancer, pretending to film something for his unborn kid. Not really, but lying to Aaron, talking about how he wants his kid to remember him and stuff like that. In general, a pretty decent setup. Once we find out that he's been lying the entire time, I think that's a huge... Unfortunately, I was kind of already spoiled on it on TikTok. If I watched this the first time and found out that, he was lying, I would be probably shocked a little bit. Because then, everything he did before that was just extremely... It was already unsettling. So, to know that he was lying about that and just playing a character is just really... really disturbing to me. And now, I'm going to get into probably the character that I would say is probably the most conflicting in Creep, and that's probably Aaron himself. I like him. I understand he's kind of an idiot. Some of the decisions he does is questionable, but I think the end of the movie, it kind of explains it, in a good way. In a believable enough way, I can be like, okay, fair enough. I can maybe believe that. I can maybe buy that. I'm not gonna focus on that too much, but I do like the character of him feeling, like, at the end of the movie, he feels really bad for Joseph. He gives him that empathy. He gives him that trust. He doesn't give him his full trust, of course, but, like, he had hope that maybe Joseph wasn't a bad guy, and I think that's just an interesting way to look at a character that's clearly the victim. It's kind of like a Stockholm syndrome kind of thing, and I think it's explored pretty decently in the movie. And just a heads up, these Creep movies, they don't have that many kills, so if you're like a kill hound that loves the Terrifier movies, you might not love this franchise in general, because there's not that many kills. And the kills are pretty grounded, and I feel like that's kind of what also gives this franchise its edge, is its extremely, like, realistic kills that makes me feel like, hey, if this guy was a real serial killer, I could probably believe that. The last thing I'll mention is probably the ending of the movie itself, where Joseph kills Aaron, because Aaron let his guard down. And obviously, when you first watch it, you're like, why did he do that? He's an idiot. But then at the end of the movie, you see Joseph kind of ask the same question too, but then reflect on how it was because he was a good person. He didn't expect Joseph... He kind of expected Joseph to maybe be a little dangerous, but he let his guard down enough where you could clearly see he at least gave some kind of trust. And I think at the end of the movie, what really reflects that is when Joseph even says that, and even admits that he was his favorite victim, just because how much trust he gave him. And I think that's just an interesting concept. And now we got Creep 2. I'm very conflicted on whether I prefer this over the first one, because I think both of these movies are pretty damn good. In all honesty, I actually kind of prefer the victim character in this movie over the first one. I think Aaron was pretty good. I think Sarah is just also more interesting, mainly because in the first Creep, Aaron wasn't really a creep, I'd say. Well, I mean, kind of was, but, like, clearly not to the same extent as Joseph. Sarah, on the other hand, I would for sure argue that she's a pretty big creep. Maybe not as much of a creep as Joseph, but she's still a pretty big creep. Mark Duplass said something about, in the first one, that was their goal, to make both characters the creep, and I kind of don't get that intention, because Aaron was kind of a creep, but, like, he said, like, one creepy thing, but, like, having your guard down and just being kind of an idiot doesn't make you a creep in my eyes. Seeing the best and trying to see the best in someone doesn't seem like creep behavior to me. But in the second one, I think it's clearly more apparent, because Sarah has many points in the movie to leave, but she chooses not to, because she's trying to better her encounter show, since it barely gets any views, which I must say, that's like the most unrealistic part of the series. Guarantee you, that show would probably blow up on YouTube. You cannot tell me it would not. But I think the whole premise with the encounter show, she was basically trying to, like, rage bait Joseph. You could argue she kind of had it coming. I would not say that. I don't think she deserved to die. So she was also a creep, is what I'm trying to say. And it's really highlighted in the bathtub scene, and even before that, where she basically said it would be so good if I could just, like, prevent him in this mentally weakened state. Like, that's a pretty weird thing to say, and that's a pretty weird thing to do. Like, especially when he basically admitted to being a serial killer to her, and also, like, getting booty naked with his, like, cock and balls out in front of her. I would say, like, it's strange that she didn't leave after that. I would say that's very that's very weird of her. You could say that's a very creep move of her. And I feel like that's kind of the point of the second movie, is just to kind of highlight that more. People didn't really get that in the first one, so I think they definitely tried to amplify that more with the character of Sarah, and I think it works significantly with Sarah more than Aaron. I just think the whole character with Sarah, her trying to, like, document clearly mentally ill man, even if she doesn't believe that he's a serial killer, which she doesn't, which I can kind of understand that. Like, who would just tell you, like, what random fucking guy would just suddenly tell you, oh yeah, I'm a serial killer? So I get that. Even like amplifies those thoughts by saying, what would not make me just go to the police with all this evidence, with you admitting it? And I think that's kind of clarifies why she didn't believe it, which makes sense, right? I know when I was watching Creep 2 with my friends, they were extremely critical of her, but I feel like I don't know if I'd believe I don't know if I'd believe that too. Now I would probably say she should have left just from him whipping his dick and balls out, but in general, I would say her not believing him does kind of make sense, because if I'm being honest, I probably wouldn't believe him too, and then I'd get my fucking ass killed. So I don't know. That's just me though. What also is kind of interesting is there's this other scene in Creep 2 where he basically admits to like giving his victims like a fair share of warnings about being dangerous. So this just kind of proves that the people he like chooses are some mentally ill people as well, because I mean, all the warnings he does give is pretty damn obvious that he's at least mentally unstable, and people should not be around him. And I think that was just like an interesting like thing to hear from Joseph, where he basically also admitted, yeah, I don't feel bad because my victims are kind of fucking stupid. They're stupid as hell. So I thought that was kind of fun. I think the dynamic with Sarah and Joseph, especially just throughout the entire movie, is just really fascinating, because it's two creeps, one that's trying to exploit him and one guy that kills people, a guy that exploits other people and kills them, and a woman that also exploits people. So it's really interesting. It's a very interesting dynamic. I would say it's on par with the first one. Should also mention that like in the second one, Joseph goes through this existential crisis, midlife crisis about killing, and I thought that was also really interesting. Two more things to mention with Creep 2. Actually, make it three. I'm gonna try to make this fast. Creep 2 kind of starts the movie off with Joseph killing his first victim, and like I said, that's kind of what sets up his existential crisis. Once like he like kills the guy in the beginning, and he's like, oh man, what the fuck am I even doing? I think that's just such an interesting like. It's so interesting. I think like they were cooking with that idea. A serial killer going through a midlife crisis about killing. Really fascinating. Really like the idea, and I think they executed it pretty well in the movie. Another thing I really liked, it also has to do with the midlife crisis thing, and it's about him making his final kill film, since he's like 40, since he's a bit of an old fella now, about him dying, about one of his victims actually taking him out. And I think that was also really interesting. It was such an interesting view into Joseph's character, because like clearly he just does this as a hobby at this point. And he said in the movie it didn't really feel like a hobby anymore. It felt like a job, which I don't know what that really means, but clearly he didn't enjoy it anymore, so he just wanted to be like taken out, you know? And I thought that was really interesting. I just think the whole midlife crisis serial killer thing was fascinating. And the final thing is the ending of the movie, where Sarah gets lucky and escapes from Joseph. This might be a little con, but since they haven't really continued that story yet, I hope they do. I don't know if they're going to do it in a Creep tape season, or they're going to do a Creep 3 movie. I really hope they do a Creep 3 movie and follow the story up, but they kind of leave it ambiguous, because she does escape, but it's clear that Joseph is stalking her again because of the whistle, the peach fuzz whistle. So it's just interesting. I don't know how to feel, because the ending is very ambiguous. If I were to take a guess, it probably just means he killed her off screen, which I feel like that would be kind of a bummer. Killing a character like Sarah off screen is just kind of a, I don't know. I think that's just kind of lazy. But overall, I really liked Creep 2. Pretty damn good movie. So yeah, let's get into the final of the 3 Creep tapes. Last but not least, well, maybe least, I don't know, is going to be the Creep tapes. And these are basically just, like, short movies of the previous 2 I mentioned. I really like, again, I should also say this with the Creep movies, the settings in general for all these movies are really good. They're amazing. And it still continues that trend on in the Creep tapes. I think especially here, just because it's in the snow, and I think in general, I think a lot of things look good in snow. So I think that was pretty cool. Him trying to act like an actor, acting as a killer act. I don't know how to explain it. It's incredible acting, and after like all the failures of that day, he then proceeds to kill the guy on the first episode. So that was pretty that was pretty nuts. Again, I just really like the setting of it. I think it's the best setting of the season. First episode's pretty good. None of the victims are particularly memorable, and that's mainly just because you literally barely have any time with them. So it's just kind of eh. As for episode 2, I would probably say is one of the weaker ones, just because I think it's one of the more boring ones, and also I think the setting is not really that interesting. It's just kind of in the desert, and it's like, okay, well, it's just kind of nothing. It's nothingness. You kind of took away the outdoor aesthetic, like forest aesthetic of the earlier movies, and I don't like that. I think they had the perfect setting, and I think the desert just kind of ruins that. Victim isn't really particularly memorable. Joseph had a sweet mustache in this episode. It was interesting enough. Again, I think in general all the episodes are at least fun. I just think this one was probably the most forgettable. But Joseph finding out that this guy was a liar, lying to him about like one minor thing, and then fucking killing him. So it was interesting. Episode 2 was pretty good. Well, no, episode 2 was alright. Definitely the weakest, but it's not bad. Alright, I remembered what episode 3 was because I searched it up, and I also thought this one was really good. Pretty much on par with the first. It might be better than the first one, in all honesty. I really like this like whole Catholic, Gothic aesthetic of this episode, and I think the fucking Jeremy, the victim in this scenario, I think he's the funniest and probably the most memorable compared to the other guys he kills in the season, especially when he fucking bitch slapped Joseph to the floor. It was a pretty damn good episode. Again, I really like the aesthetic. I really like the build up, and like Joseph just appearing out of nowhere, like when he cut the car wires so he couldn't escape. Ooh. I mean, it kind of makes no sense, but like it's still like, damn, this guy's gonna die. Also, just him chasing him with the axe was actually kind of terrifying, if I'm being honest. Pretty terrifying. Pretty good episode. I wanna have control. Episode 4 is about this character named Brad. Pretty sure he does like true crime documentary. I could be wrong. He did true crime stuff, and so Joseph was trying to like do this like little test thing for him to like see who killed this guy, and it was just one of the people he fucking killed earlier. Again, I would say this episode's also probably on the more forgettable side, but it's still pretty good. I would probably say Brad's also a pretty memorable character. Memorable, like, enough character for, like, these short little episodes. Again, I don't really know if I have anything else to say with here. Joseph basically murks his ass at the end, pretty much like every other episode. That's probably my big concern, though, is if Season 2 just keeps the same format, because as fun as it is, it will probably get old soon, so we'll see. That was interesting, especially Joseph kind of fanboying over him. I thought that was pretty fun. Again, also good episode, probably on the weaker side. It's solid. Episode 5. I don't know if people have the same thoughts as me, but I really liked episode 5 because it kind of explores the psychology of Joseph's character. Because it's clear that he has like either multiple personalities or he has schizophrenia, maybe both. I don't know. And I think it's really interesting, especially because like the person that he was meant to kill this episode just doesn't show up until the end of the episode, and then Joseph just fucking throws his axe and kills him immediately. It's amazing. I think it just explores Joseph's character really well. Him getting like really pissed off that like he can't satisfy this urge to kill. He also got mad that he let go of this one guy that like knocked on the wrong door. He was sad that like he didn't just like kill him. Thought that was interesting. I just think this episode's pretty good. Also, I keep saying that. And it actually changes up the format. I would probably say this is like the second best episode. Pretty good. Would recommend. Really memorable, and I think the ending's awesome. Just seeing Joseph fucking murk the guy immediately. But yeah, pretty good. Finally, the last episode also happens to do with Joseph as a character too, and him having parent issues because he was never breastfed. Not even joking. That's a thing in this episode. Again, I think it's a pretty good episode too. Unfortunately, he murders this cool dad. His cool new dad, but like unfortunately he dies. Joseph murks his ass, and then the mom didn't even act, like Joseph's mom didn't even react that much. He was just like, hey, I liked him, and I was like, oh, okay. I thought it was fun. It explores Joseph's character as well. It's pretty good. The only criticism I would say is I didn't need to see Joseph's like bare butt cheeks. I would probably take that out. I did not like looking at old man butt cheeks. Not my personal fave. But other than that, pretty good episode. Want you to notice. This comes to the end of the video, and it's finally time to rank everything. I'm gonna rank all the episodes and the both of the movies. So coming dead last is going to be Creep Tapes Episode 2. I just think it's the most forgettable one. Joseph does have a cool, sweet mustache in it. Unfortunately, couldn't save it. I don't know. Just couldn't. His sweet rockin' mustache just could not save the episode. It's still not a bad episode. I just think it's the least memorable. And I know this might be very conflicting with some people, but now I'm gonna go Creep Tapes Episode 4. Look, I understand. It's liked for a reason. Fully understand that. I don't know. It's just not the best to me. I just have the least amount to say about it. It's good. It's good. It's a good episode. I just think the others are better. Coming next is going to be episode 6 of Creep Tapes. Also a really good episode. It explores Joseph's character really well. Again, I haven't seen this episode. I haven't seen Creep Tapes in a while, but I don't get why the mom's recording, or why this is being recorded. That kind of confuses me a little bit, and that kind of gets rid of the like found footage aspect of things. Like, that's my huge criticism with this episode, and just like the Creep Tapes in general. They don't feel as like real and authentic as the first two movies. These two, especially because the camera quality in these two in Creep Tapes is significantly better for some reason. And I don't know how to feel about that. I really do like the lower quality camera and the shaky cam in the first two movies. I think that kind of helped build the atmosphere, but it's still good. Explores the characters nicely. Joseph's mom is a freak, but I digress. Coming next, after careful consideration, is going to be Creep Tapes Episode 3. Really like the gothic aesthetic. And Joseph chasing down whatever his name was, I forgot his name, with the axe was pretty damn terrifying. So, big plus on that. Probably, I would say, is probably the scariest episode. And I really like the aesthetic. Pretty good. Would recommend. Now, next is going to be Creep Tapes Episode 1. I just think it's really strong, especially him pretending to be an actor. Love that. It really just shows how good Mark's acting is as Joseph. And I think I need to remember. I think his name was Mike in the first episode. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. I remember like him constantly getting pissed at Mike was really funny. Yeah, that was good. Pretty good. Love the snow. Good episode. And the best episode of Creep Tapes coming next is episode 5. Really liked it. Explored Joseph's character pretty damn well. Wish this was just a prolonged movie. It would have been just interesting to see his character in general. You can really see like the different personality, the different like identities, with Peach Fuzz. Really liked it. The ending was pretty funny. Thought it was a good episode. The best episode so far. Coming next, and this might be a hot take, is going to be the first Creep. I really like the second one. First Creep, again, the only reason why is because I prefer Sarah over Aaron. If Sarah was worse than Aaron, this one would probably be better. But I think the first Creep movie probably has the best like camera feel. The best feel, like how real it feels. I think it easily has the best feel of that. But I think the second one succeeds with its concepts and ideas more than the first one. But I really do like the first one. And obviously coming in first place is going to be Creep 2. Pretty damn good. Really like I think the dynamic with Joseph and Sarah is far more interesting. Well, I wouldn't say far more, but like more interesting than Joseph and Aaron. Sarah's character was better than Aaron's, and I think the whole premise of this film was was more interesting than the first one. So Joseph had a sweet beard in this. So yeah, if you're curious on what review on like out of 10, I'd probably give the first two Creep movies like 10 out of 10s. I thought both were really good. Peak horror movies, would recommend. Creep Tapes is like an 8 out of 10. Pretty good, but it's not like the most memorable in the world. But yeah, that's about it. See ya.